Hey guys, welcome back to Shep Talk and welcome back to my review of Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 was directed by Denis Villeneuve. It was written by Frank Herbert, John Splatus, and Denis Villeneuve. Dune Part 2 stars Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, Zendaya as Chani, Rebecca Ferguson as Jessica, Javier Bardem as Stilgar, Austin Butler as Fade Rotha, and Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron Harkonnen, or Harkonnen. I say Harkonnen still. Dune Part 2 has a runtime of 2 hours and 46 minutes. Quick synopsis. After losing everything in a sneak attack by the Harkonnens and the Emperor, Paul must befriend the Fremen to help him get the revenge he desires against his enemies. First of all, guys, I apologize. I know I've been kind of delinquent on my movie reviews recently. When this movie came out, I pretty much got sick and my voice was very raspy and not very healthy. And so I didn't really want to try to do a review. I did write this up like as soon as I saw it. I saw Dune Part 2 twice, like Thursday and Friday. So I went and saw this movie right away as it came out. And I wanted to talk about it. So I hope if you guys are here to watch this review, thank you. I know it's been almost a month probably since this movie has been out. But let's get into this review of Dune Part 2. And the first thing I got to talk about in this movie is Greg Fraser. That guy, the cinematography is amazing in this movie. He pulls you in so much that you do not need to really see or hear anything or experience anything else. You can tell you're in the world of Dune, it just makes you feel like you're part of that world. It is beautiful. His shots are great. I know he's been on a couple other things. I can't wait to see what project he has next. I hope if they do Dune Messiah that they keep him on board because I think they really need him to be the cinematographer for this. And one thing I want to address, like Denis Villeneuve, before this movie came out, Part 2 came out, he made a statement in an interview, and even I was at fault with this on how he was saying that he didn't really like dialogue. But watching this movie, it explained it so much more. It's not that he doesn't like dialogue. What I think he further explained this, is that dialogue sometimes takes you away from experiencing what's happening on the screen. And that's the case in here, where like Paul and his trials that he's going through, just having the music and the cinematography and playing and watching Paul, do what he needs to do to get stuff done, brings you into that moment. You are just watching him in his moment. And I thought that is what he means. I think people misconstrued that he was like, I don't like dialogue. That's not it at all. Dialogue can sometimes, with the right director, take you out of a scene that he wants you pretty much to focus on. Man, I think everybody, especially if they weren't book readers or hadn't seen any of the other Dunes, had the same complaint about Dune Part 1. The action until like the third act of Dune Part 1 was not there. People were falling asleep, XYZ, they were bored. They got a little taste of it at the very end of Dune Part 1, but Dune Part 2 really brings it to a very big, this is Paul and the Fremen getting their revenge on the Harkonnens and even the Emperor. And man, the action scenes in this movie are just high quality, have you on the edge of your seat just watching these things going down. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a ton of cast members in this movie. This is an ensemble of ensembles, and everybody is bringing their A game. But I think the person for me that stole the show in Dune Part 2 was Austin Butler. When he was on screen, he just embodied, Fade so well that he commanded the presence. You could see why the Baron wanted Fade to be his successor, and that how he was with just people and how he dealt with them and his strategic mind. Yeah, he's a sociopath, psychopath, whatever the word is, whatever the path he is definitely on that scale. But on screen, Austin Butler depicting Fade was a masterpiece to watch. And as I said, not to take away from all the other cast members as well. Like my next person is Javier Bardem. Him playing Stilgar was probably one of the best representations of Stilgar we got. This is a guy that's been like lapping up all the stuff that the Bene Gesserit has said about the Kiswat Sadarak and the chosen one. He, even when Paul is trying to be himself and just be like, no, this is not me. This is why this is happening. Javier Bardem Stilgar is like, the chosen one would say that. He would be that guy. He would be so modest. He does not want to be known as, so it was very fun to watch and see him bring that to the big screen. And he was like sort of sometimes the comic relief, which you needed in a movie that got very serious a lot of the times. But like I said, I can't break it down by every character. If I was, we'd be here for a minute, and I don't want to be here all day trying to say what I liked or did not like about some of these characters out there. But needless to say that everybody brought their A game. This movie is a masterpiece of a movie. I kind of think having come out in March was a little... I hope people are remembering this come Oscar time. Now let's get into some of my dislikes. I'm not going to go over too many things. There's just a few things that kind of nibbled at me from a perfect standpoint of this movie. My first one is, and this is me thinking about it and talking it over with friends as well that watched it with me, is their portrayal of Chani in this movie. Chani, they took to like another radical extreme. I get trying to have a character that's going to be that sounding board, especially against Paul, who is being led into this path that he doesn't really want to go into. But Chani in this movie isn't seeing that picture. She's like, all she's thinking about is the Fremen, which is fine. But she's also like, oh no, Paul can't do this. Paul's not Fremen. Paul's not, we shouldn't be following him, XYZ. But I think the one misstep with Denis is that he did not really see that she sees this in Paul, but she's always there to help Paul, to guide him, to make sure her people are taken care of, even though she knows he's leading them to disaster, but he is not the one that is trying to lead them to disaster. He is being forced every step of the way, either by the Harkonnens, by the Emperor, by the Bene Gesserit, by his mother. It's just so much on his shoulder that she is supposed to be there as that sounding board. Yes, push back on him, but she never leaves his side. She never be such a radical opposite of Paul. And then my second kind of dislike, and I understand this one as well, is the final battle. What we get looks like it took place through the day and through the night, but what we see on screen seems to happen like within seconds or minutes. I would love to have seen more of Zendaya and Archani and her Fremen going through, taking the thing. I'd rather to see some more of the worms getting through. I just would like to see battles. Like even the battle with Gurney and his, and Rabin, I would have liked to have seen more of that. Like I would have loved to have seen a little bit more. But besides that, everything was pretty good. So let's get into my overall. Overall, Dune Part 2 is a brilliant finish to the first book. It's not a sequel, it's Part 2. It is a continuation of the Dune book. And I love what Denis did with this movie. I think he was one of the perfect choices to be the director for this movie. And I can't wait to see what he does with the Dune Messiah, if he does it. Like I said, I had a few critiques, few dislikes of this movie, but they really were not enough to take me away from this movie. I really want to see it again. I actually have a code to go see it again. And if you guys are not going to the theaters to see this movie, you're doing this movie a disservice. It should be seen on the big screen with the sound playing by Hans Zimmer. It is a fantastic cinematography piece of work. Yes, it's almost 3 hours of movie. It's longer than the first one, but it's well deserved. I don't think you will actually feel like you've been in that movie for 3 hours, unless maybe you have to go to the bathroom. But go see this, man. I think again, I'm sorry this review is out late, but this is a movie that is worth being seen in theaters. And I know March and going into April is a heavy time for movies. This week we got Ghostbusters coming out this week, and then Godzilla Kong coming out next week. So there's a lot vying for your attention, but go see that, go see this movie. Give it a chance. With that being said, though, guys, Shep Talk is Dune Part 2, 5 Sheps out of 5. If you've seen it already, let me know in the comments section down below. Am I wrong for my dislike of how Denis portrayed Chani in this movie? Zendaya did a great job playing her. I just don't like the direction they took her for in this movie. So let's have that conversation down in the comments down below. Or did you hate this movie? Did you think the whole Dune series is bad and you don't even want to see Dune, Messiah? But that is all I have time for, guys. If you haven't done so already, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It does help my channel out greatly, and I do truly appreciate you. But this is Darth Shep, signing off.